The Windler plaintiffs sought wells for single-family residential use, not for irrigation. This property is connected to our system, has for single-family residential use, has potable water, and is seeking an irrigation well, and they're fundamentally different.
Yeah. Okay. And that causes me to also, as our previous commenter made me realize, if somebody is pumping water out of this out of wherever they're getting it, and then they're going to sprinkle it on the ground, isn't that water going to go back where is still going to go back into the ground again? So other than the loss for evaporation, it might very well be pretty much a balance. It may not have. So that's it, and that was the issue. Anyway, enough of me. What do we do about this?
I can make a motion.
Oh, that's a good start. Okay.
I make a motion that we write a letter in support of the well with making the following points. One is that we are doing this on the stipulation that is obviously for irrigation only, that the parcel already has a potable water well which is in use, and so it's replacing potable water that would be used for irrigation. That the best hydrogeologic surveys we have show that this lot does not drain or feed into either of the aquifers that we use, either the Santa Rosa Creek aquifer or San Simeon aquifer. That might have to be determined, but if it's determined, I think that should be noted in the letter. And two, that it is we're clear about the fact that this is not to be used for potable water. This is strictly to be used for irrigation. That this is not a precedent for someone drilling a well to build a house.
Okay, so that's kind of a long motion. So let's see. You're moving for a letter of support with the stipulation that we understand.
On the condition that it's used only for irrigation, and that it replaces potable water that would be used for irrigation, and that it does not, that it is shown that parcel does not feed either of our aquifers that we use for our water supply, Santa Rosa Creek or San Simeon.
Okay. To save us some discussion, though, let me go back to council, and I see some comments here. But before we go there, at what level can we stipulate in this? I mean, I don't know that we can enforce any of the stipulations that we make. That's where so what actual relationship do we have, or what ability do we have to control what goes on this parcel?
We don't have any. This is a county issue. They're just asking for our opinion to see whether there is justification for opposing the well. And you're right. You can do nothing. You can write a letter of support, and you can write a letter opposing.
Okay. So Director Gray, I think rather than stipulate, we could say with the understanding that.
Yeah, we understand.
Yeah. So let's get that motion worded, and then we'll bring in the discussion. So one more time, please, if you don't mind.
We write a letter of support with the understanding that the water is used for potable use only, and that the parcel does not feed either through either aquifer, either Santa Rosa Creek aquifer or San Simeon aquifer via watershed, and that it is. What was the other one? Potable use only. No, irrigation use only. Yeah. And that there's already potable water being used for on that site.
Okay, well, let's kind of work with that. I think
I know it's and we also have to go past time.
Yeah. Oh my God, we're back. That's what I saw all these hands going up. Okay, we're going to need to extend again. Let's
5:30.
5:30, and then we all turn into pumpkins.
Yeah. So maybe we can get it done before then. That's I don't know if that's clear.
Okay. Well, first we got to actually formally extend. So I'm going to assume that someone has made a motion to extend. Any one of you guys? Okay. Moved by Director Steidel, seconded by Vice President Dean to extend the meeting to 5:30. Seeing is there debate? No debate. Asking unanimous consent. Does anyone object to going to 5:30? Okay, we will continue. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, let's see, where do we leave off? So to restate, if I may, just so we get clarity of what we're talking about, a letter of support.
Yeah. And maybe just 2 points.
Yeah,
One is that parcel does not feed any, by surface or any of the means, does not feed either of our aquifers, and that the water is not to be used for potable, it is not to be put to potable use. It's irrigation.
Two, okay, that we, a letter of support with the, with our understanding that
John, would you like me to read back what I think?
That would be a good idea. Thank you, Haley.
So I have Director Gray moved to write a letter of support on the condition that the parcel doesn't feed either of our aquifers, Santa Rosa Creek or San Simeon Creek, and the water is not to be used for potable use. It'll be used for irrigation only.
Not a condition, but understanding rather than condition.
Understanding.
Yeah, with the understanding. Yeah, perfect. Okay, are we all clear on what we're discussing?
We need
Okay.
a second.
Okay, now let's go forward. So again, I don't know who's first here, but let's see. I think, let me start with Director Farmer and then Director Steidel.
Thank you, President Howell. I'm going to make a suggestion here. We just heard from Mr. Brosma. Pardon me if I'm mispronouncing your name, sir. And he happens to be the neighbor of Mr. Swartz. I'd like to provide Mr. Swartz the opportunity to discuss this with us. I'd like to hear what he has to say about how he intends to, once he drills the well, how he intends to use that water, and then make the decision.
Okay, so you're advocating a tabling this until we can hear from the property owner. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Director Steidel.
Actually, it's an excellent recommendation by Director Farmer. Had the motion been brought forward for vote, or if it does, I would have to take exception to it because I feel that there's a risk by saying for irrigation purposes, because irrigation can be significant. Talking again about potential of hobby vineyards and orchards.
Well, that's why I want to hear from this fellow.
Okay, I think the wording of the motion was not potable, which implies irrigation, but we don't want to actually say it.
I think I can withdraw.
Well, he did say irrigation.
Oh, let's try.
Irrigation only.
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of reading the room here. I can withdraw I'll withdraw my motion and make a motion to table this item and until and invite the property owner to detail how you would use the water to us, if that's fine with everybody.
Okay, it works for me. Let's check with Jim Weigel to see if there's any kind of time issue involved here, or because I don't know where they are in the permitting and how soon the letter has to go out. Or either Mr. Dienzo or Mr. Weigel.
Yeah, I was just about to text Mr. Dienzo, but maybe he has the answer because we're not a major party to this.
Yeah. Okay.
You're muted, Ray.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm talking to someone in my office. Sorry.
They were asking you a question, Mr. Danzo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is there a deadline when we need to provide a letter, if any, to the county?
Well, county is waiting for our response on this, but they haven't given us a deadline. But they are waiting for a response. So.
Okay. Yes, Vice President Dean.
Well, let's hear from District Council first, because that may affect what I have to say.
Okay. Yes, Council.
It won't affect what you have to say. I just wanted to point out that it's my understanding, and I could certainly confirm this, that either a minor use permit or a development plan is necessary for a well in the coastal zone. Just so there's some context here.
Okay. So he's got some hoops to jump through regardless.
I believe so. I can confirm that though.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Vice President Dean.
Okay, so if there hasn't been a set deadline of what Director Gray and Director Farmer and Director Steidel all agreed on, I think we should table this item until we can hear from Mr. Schwartz. And if what Director Gray put forth was a motion, I will second it.
Okay, what we can do is just table Director Gray's motion. Oh, okay, it's been moved and seconded. We can have a motion to table. And so that'll go with Director's motion. Director Gray's motion will just sit, waiting until the appropriate moment when it comes back. But before we, go ahead, Director, Vice President Dean, and then GM.
I believe Director Gray withdrew his previous motion and made a motion to table.
I may bring it back, but I withdrew it for now. So we
just. Oh, okay. So the motion would be just to table the topic. Okay. GM Michael.
Yes, President Howell, if Mr. Schwartz decides not to appear, then we'll just decide not to do a letter. Then I would take,
so I think so.
That'd be safe to say from the board.
Well, no, that might be taken as a, we're trying to be fair. And so if he's unwilling to come to us and explain a little bit, then I would be less inclined to write a positive letter. And I would be more inclined to write a negative letter. But I can only speak for myself, so I don't know how the rest feels, but I guess we just have to wait and find out. In the community, if we do this going forward, if we do this, the invitation to Mr. Schwartz should indicate that the board is really trying to be as even-handed and fair as possible. We really don't want to be unreasonable. We're just mainly concerned about our water supply. And that's how it should be presented. Okay, so I think then the motion is to table item 7E until such time, or let's do it this way, because we might want to bring it back. Until
a response or lack of response is determined. And probably the request that we would make is to invite him to a specific board meeting. And if that is not the case, then that delivers what that specific time is that he chose not to respond.
Okay, so let's do it this way then. The motion, sorry, we're messing around with your motion. To table the item and instruct staff to invite Mr. Schwartz to meet with us and help us to reach a conclusion. And we need a date in there somewhere. So I would say, let's give it a month. Okay. So maybe in, Vice President Dean?
Why don't we say the next board meeting, which was May, what is it, the 12th?
May 12th.
Okay, we can do that.
We shouldn't put them off a whole month.
No, I just wanted to give him time. Okay, so we can invite him to come to our next board meeting or send a representative to talk to us. I prefer to talk to him, actually, so invite him to come.
Actually, I think it's him, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's see if we got the motion now. The motion is to table 7E and instruct staff to invite Mr. Schwartz to meet with us at our next meeting on May, whatever the date is, where we will consider this issue.
And make it clear to him what we could meet, obviously, via Zoom.
Oh, yes, by all means. Yeah.
I second that.
Okay. I think we got it.
How, so the May 12th meeting, is that what you're
well, that's what we were looking at, yeah. Is that okay, or do you have a problem there?
No, I just needed to know, thank you.
Oh, I see, sorry. I mean, these things do tend to pile up, so we do have to be careful. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we got it, and we got 4 minutes to go. Yeah. So I think we got it. I don't think we need to repeat the motion one more time, do we? Maybe we better let Haley repeat it one more time.
I have President Howell move to table the item and instruct staff to invite the property owner to the May 12th, 2022 board meeting.
where the item will be discussed and considered.
Got it.
Thank you, Haley. And I believe the second was that Director Dean? Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded what Haley said. And I think we're ready for a vote. No debate, right? Okay. This needs to be a roll call on this one.
President Howell?
Aye.
Vice President Dean?
Aye.
Director Farmer?
Aye.
Director Gray?
Aye.
Director Steidel?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. And I think at this point, as we're getting close to Pumpkinhood, I think we probably need to adjourn. Well, we need to go through some future agenda items. Anybody got anything?
We've got a lot of them already.
I know. Do we need more?
No.
I'd like to add one. I'd like to add one more.
Okay.
Sorry, Vice President Dean had her hand up, so my apologies. Yes, perhaps at some point in the relative near future, we can address the cost of the WRF.
No problem. We are still on our list, and we will.
Isn't there an ad hoc committee? Isn't there an ad hoc committee doing that?
Yeah, we're working on that one. So, but no harm in bringing it up again, just to make sure we haven't forgotten, and sooner than later. Okay, Director, Vice President Dean.
Do we need to make a motion to table the remaining items to the next meeting?
Not really.
Okay, so we just ignore them until we get to our next meeting?
According to the council, yeah, he's nodding. Let's keep it simple, shall we? Okay.
Old business.
Yeah, it becomes old business. Okay. So no further futures, I see, and there's no reason why we shouldn't adjourn. So I'm going to thank you all very much for coming and for being so patient. I hereby declare us adjourned.
Thank you.
And thank you to folks out there in the audience. Thank you so much.
Enjoy the rain.
Okay. Rain, yes. Okay.